There's business casual, and then there's stylish business casual, and classic style is your ticket to it. In a modern context, business casual means different things to different people depending on your office environment, meaning that there's different tiers to it, even beyond the standard formality tiers or dress codes we usually refer back to, meaning that it could be traditional business casual with a sport coat and dress pants as the expected uniform, down to casual business casual with polos and fancy shorts. Confusing, we know. This makes it much more difficult for those interested in classic style to finding a good balance between showcasing their own personal style and building strong outfits, while still respecting these unwritten guidelines put in place at work. But the answer really just depends on the work environment and what you want to convey while working there. So, to start us off today, determine the formality of your environment. We've done multiple videos on this topic already if you'd like more in-depth answers on how to figure out your office's dress code. But, essentially, you can get an idea of what's expected by looking at what everyone else is wearing. And you can either match that level of formality or go one level above without attracting too much attention to yourself. That's not to say that you can't potentially go even higher if you'd like, but that choice might be polarizing to some and can go over better in some environments over others. In other words, you might get some weird looks if you're in a suit and your boss wears sweats. Once you have an idea of what kind of outfit you want to pull off, or in this case, put on at the office, compare it to the examples of what the 3 modern tiers of business casual will look like in the majority of workplaces today, and find the best tier that works for you and your work environment. Now, let's drill down on those tiers, starting off with casual business casual. Often the lowest tier of business casual is associated with the startups and relaxed businesses, and really is just casual clothing at the workplace, where it isn't unheard of to see hoodies, graphic tees, sandals, or sweatpants worn by some employees and bosses, like the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. Some people love this level of nonchalance, of course, but if you're a fan of classic style, it might be a bit more difficult to put together outfits when it is not entirely out of the question to wear pajama bottoms. But the good news is that it doesn't take too much effort to stand out in a good way, as even a little bit of extra effort goes a long way. Believe it or not, items like camp, sport shirts, Hawaiian shirts, polos, and even some sweaters were mostly reserved for leisure time during the golden age of menswear. Before the invention of Casual Friday, at least. But today, these garments appear put together and intentional, even while being very comfortable and unassuming. Even in very casual environments, trousers that are typical for work are more in line with the outfits that we like to promote on this channel, like chinos. But some shorts in casual warm weather fabrics like seersucker or linen might also work in seasonal rotation if you wanted to experiment with them. Still, dark wash, well-fitting jeans, linen slacks, or other casual fabrics will give you the most flexibility with outfits. You can also wear casual shoes like chukka boots, suede shoes, or maybe even dress sneakers. Suede is especially nice here as it has a more laid-back feel than calfskin leather, but still works much more polished than tennis shoes or more casual sneaker styles, helping you look more professional and put together in the process. Our next tier is mid-level business casual. Most major corporations nowadays will operate on this new mid-level business casual. And this will be what most companies actually mean as the business casual dress code. A uniform of dress shirt, chinos, and Patagonia fleece vests have become something of a stereotype for many businesses over the last 10 to 15 years. Some people are so proud of their Patagonia that it has earned a nickname of Patagucci. But there is much more room for creativity and stylish outfits than just this new age version of a drab and uninspired combo. It is important to be aware that due to the ubiquity of this dress code on the corporate level, many cultural trends and tropes are associated with this now. And a version of corporate cool has developed that isn't quite the same as classic style. If you want to keep things more classic, then avoid that resemblance Succession cosplay, So no puffer vests or other trendy layering pieces or black baseball caps in the boardroom. Long sleeve dress shirts will best serve as a foundational piece in solids or light patterns, and can either be an OCBD or a regular dress shirt, depending on your preferences. But things like fit, material, and pattern type will help you subtly stand out with your attention to detail. Not all shirts are made equal, after all. For trousers, tan chinos are the default choice you see people opt for within the dress code range, and that's perfectly acceptable. But more interesting fabrics like corduroy, flannel, and tweed are also very classic and work just as well for this formality range. So you can stand out in a positive way by thinking just a little outside the box. Next, layering pieces is where you can get the most styling points in this type of dress. And expand beyond the uniform you'll see the majority of people default to. Cardigans and other sweater styles are some of the easiest and most seamless ways to add visual interest to your outfits, without straying from the established formality level. More casual jackets, like leather or field jackets, can also work well here, especially if you spend any part of your workday outdoors. If something like a sport coat is too much, then the emerging sweater blazer might be a good option for you, as it bridges the formality level between tailoring and knitwear without seeming too dressed up. As with any outfit, the shoes you opt for are going to be the foundation to looking polished, especially if the shoes themselves are. Given that tailoring often won't be seen in this level of dress, more casual styles like wingtips, loafers, and dress boots, often in colors other than black, are going to work well. Now, for our final tier today, formal business casual. Some professions still do traditional business casual, and this tier is one of the most closely aligned with the definition of business casual we often refer to. And while many corporate fields have relaxed their standards, just as many lawyers, doctors, professors, and such will still hold as their uniform standard of dress. This level of business casual is what originally was considered the expected standard during the golden age of menswear, and has really only been edited and challenged over the past couple of decades. This more traditional definition will have some element of tailoring within the outfit, whether that's a sport coat, a vest, or maybe even something more whimsical like a shooting jacket, even if you're actually not going to the English countryside while wearing it. The same elements from modern business casual still apply to the shirts that are most optimal for this dress code. They work better when they can still pair well with a jacket, meaning that solids, light stripes, or thinner checks will be your foundational pieces here, as they serve more as a layering piece as opposed to the main element of your upper half, since jackets are going to be much more commonplace at this level of dress. You'll generally want to stick with sport coats or blazers as your topmost layering piece, particularly in tweed or coarser fabrics that are unique to sport coats. Or, if you prefer blazers, opting for ones with the traditional brass or neutral buttons. This way, you'll reinforce that your jacket truly is in the business casual range, and that you're not just trying to wear suit separates. Since something like gray pinstripe trousers with a navy suit jacket doesn't match all that elegantly, as the fabrics are a bit too formal for this dress code. People will usually identify that something is off when seeing an outfit like this, even if they can't articulate why. Dress pants and odd trousers are more uniformly used in formal business casual. You can go with smooth, worsted fabrics here if you're trying to get more formal, but previous examples like flannels, corduroys, and tweeds can also still work here. Chances are, jeans will be too casual to pair well at this level, but this assumption will again depend on the working environment. As a general rule of thumb, if you'd wear a tie with the ensemble, it's too formal to be wearing jeans with it. Similarly, ties may or may not be optional at this level of formality, and will be dependent on the workplace norms for your office. More casual ties can be well utilized here. Knit or woolen ties are good examples for business casual tie styles, whereas shinier silk ties may be too formal when going with more rustic fabrics, since they're usually better suited for the smoother finishes found in suiting. At this level of dress, full Oxfords are still not going to be the most optimal footwear choice. If you only own a couple pairs of shoes and are still trying to build out your collection, They can be perfectly serviceable in a pinch. Black Oxfords are probably not going to blend well with the more rustic elements commonly seen at this level of dress, but double monks, wingtips, and bluchers will be more at home. Business casual doesn't have to be boring. There is plenty of room for personal expression and positive ways to stand out with these classic style tips. Which leads me to my outfit today. I am wearing a Glen check sport coat, and I am also wearing underneath it a quarter zip sweater. Underneath that, I am wearing a white t-shirt, and you could say that this is very low level tiered of business casual. I decided to pair everything with a pair of dark wash denim. And lastly, I paired it all together with a pair of wingtip brogue boots. On my wrist, I am wearing a Timex automatic watch. For my pocket square, I decided to wear a brownish, maroonish pocket square with a paisley pattern. Blending in the flannel, denim, kind of rustic elements, I did wear a suede brown belt. And for my fragrance today, I am wearing blue suede shoes from the Roberto Ugolini collection. You can find this fragrance as well as other menswear accessories at the Full Belvedere shop. How do you like to do business casual? Let us know down in the comments.